Schizophrenia is a mental disorder that affects a person's behavior, feelings, and thinking. It is hard to trace genetically because it's a complex trait. It does not get passed down in a recognizable pattern. It is more likely that you'll have schizophrenia if it's in your family, but there are many possible variations in genes that contribute to having it. In most cases, multiple genetic changes, each with a small effect, combine to increase the risk of developing the disorder. Genes are said to account for about 80% risk of developing schizophrenia, although there is not just one specific cause to the disease. It is a complex mix of genetics and environment. Environmental effects include things like certain types of drugs, like cannabis, cocaine, LSD, or amphetamines, which can enhance the development of the disorder. There are many proteins that can be altered to produce schizophrenia, including AKT1, C4A, GGCR8, NOS1AP, and many more. Each gene is responsible for proteins that are normally used for tasks like communication, localizing and combining strands after secretion, encoding for putative adhesive receptor protein, and mediating other interactions. Each of these proteins can change, usually in an insertion or deletion manner, to result in schizophrenia.
In a 2015 study, it was concluded that there might be around 20,000 SNPs that could contribute to a person developing schizophrenia. For our genetic test, our SNP chip will include 5,000 of these genetic variations that have shown the most significant links to the disorder. Two of the genes that are affected by SNPs with heavy associations with schizophrenia are CSF2RA and SLC18A1. Certain genotypes of these two genes have been shown to multiply the likelihood of developing schizophrenia. Specifically, the CC genotype for the CSF2RA gene is linked to a 3 times higher risk of schizophrenia, and the GG genotype for the SLC18A1 gene has an even stronger link to schizophrenia with a risk factor of 3.7. SLC18A1 codes for a protein whose function is to transport neurotransmitters to endocrine and neuroendocrine cells. One of the neurotransmitters transported by this protein is serotonin, a neurotransmitter that plays a role in mood and social behavior.
Now, many of you might be asking yourselves, why get our SNP chip test done? Well, according to a study conducted by the Department of Psychiatric Research, it was stated that genetic epidemiological studies have revealed high heritability estimates around 80% for schizophrenia and elevated risk in first-degree relatives. This study resulted in more than half of the patients, around 59%, with schizophrenia that carried the CC genotype for the RS4129148 SNP. Research found that the schizophrenia patient group had the RS2270641 homozygous genotype, which was overrepresented about 24.6%. Considering those who without schizophrenia do not express this homozygous minor allele often. Our research shows that a test might predict one's level of effective treatments, improve detection of symptoms, create opportunities for prompt diagnosis and early response, and reduce stigma. A study done involving 15 subjects resulted in a majority of the subjects saying they would want to get a genetic test to tell them what illnesses they are at risk for developing and information about their genes. Of 15 respondents, 11 wanted to know their genetic risk for schizophrenia, and 11 offered to get tested that day. As one can see, testing for schizophrenia has great benefits for the future.
Genetic testing for schizophrenia may seem like a waste because although it is hereditary to some degree, the SNPs that we observed made people only slightly more likely to develop the disease at some point in life. Because of this, it could be a poor investment financially. The SNPs we researched related to the relationship between the development of schizophrenia and the dopamine receptors. However, upon reading more scholarly articles relating to the genes linked to the disease, we found that that specific claim has been debatable. According to the Department of Biology at the University of Finland at Turku, the development of schizophrenia is more dependent on physical and physiological environment factors, and therefore genetic testing for it would be obsolete.
Testing positive for schizophrenia will affect your entire life, but it's better to be diagnosed than to live in the danger of disease without treatment. The most effective treatment strategy for schizophrenia involves the combination of medication, therapy, lifestyle changes, and social support. Emotionally, it will be difficult to process at first, but it needs to be accepted. It is important to not ignore your diagnosis and to start treatment as soon as possible. The lifelong treatment could possibly hurt your life if people discriminate against your disease, but knowing about it and being consistent with treatment will help your health. Originally, the test will cost money, and any test has the possibility to be wrong, but we have designed it in the best way possible to help you find out something that could dramatically affect your life and enable you to best plan for the future.